What's up, everybody? We are using StreamYard tonight, so if anybody wants to jump in, just send me a PM on Discord, and you guys can join in. So hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can or you can't. I have my headphones on. I'm actually probably going to take them off right now until I get people actually in, because I don't need to wear the headphones while we're doing the what's the word for it? Well, it's just me talking to myself. So this is something I was planning on doing tonight, and here I am. So I brought my humidor in from the house, and the goal here is to kind of clean up everything that I've added onto it. So I've added lights onto it. I have a Wi-Fi plug over here. So if you see this, it's just a little outlet, and it is controlling a 12-volt transformer, which you can see turns on lights. So I actually have lights in the rear and on the door, and I also have a contacts or a proximity switch that when I open the door, the ones on the front shut off so they don't blind you because they're very, very bright. One other thing I did, this does have a light built into it, and this is what I did before I started the stream. I said, you know what, I'm going to do the rest of this on stream, so maybe someone is interested. So this is an audio unit. A lot of these are just rebranded. They all have like the same control panel. And I was doing some probing, and I found out that when you press the light button here, you can see the light turns on the inside. Well, I added these nice lights. This one's pretty much useless on the top. But watch, if I press this, those shut off. There's no connection between this button and these lights. These lights are controlled by a Wi-Fi outlet. So behind this panel is a Wemos D1 Mini, which is a ESP development board. And I found out that this panel runs off of 8 volts DC. So I have a step down converter, and I originally wanted to use a full node MCU, these kind of guys. But this wouldn't physically fit behind here, but the D1 Mini did. So I have the step down going from 8 volts DC to 5 to power the D1 Mini, and the D1 Mini takes like nothing to run, so that'll be fine. So, but what I did was I made little Y adapters to split the power and the ground signal that turns this light on. So the ground signal line still goes to the LED in the top, so that still functions, but there's a split that goes off to an input-output pin on the D1 Mini. So I'm going out to D1 of the D1 Mini, and then I have the power coming from the step down. And when I press this button, like within almost instantly, so the transformer takes a sec to power on, but the relay itself on the Wi-Fi outlet clicks instantly. So when I press this button, it sends a command back to Home Assistant saying that the pin's been pulled down, which means the light's on. And then I have an automation with Node Red that tells it when this sensor is on, we assume the light's on, and we want to kick the rest of the lights on. So what I can do now is I can actually turn my auxiliary lights on that I've added in that did not come with this, with the button on the front panel. So, and I can't, to try to fish a cable all the way back through this is almost impossible because it's all filled, it's all done before it's filled with foam for the installation. But now I can just turn it on. I don't have to tell my Google Home or anything to turn it on. I can still tell it to turn on. Like I can say, hey, Google, turn off the humidor. Well, hey, Google, turn off humidor lights. And I can still override it. If you notice, this is on. So that's the only thing. I can't really control this one. So if I turn that off, and these are already off, it doesn't do anything. But let's say, hey, Google, turn on humidor lights. So you can see the humidor lights are on, but what if I want to turn them off? All I have to do is turn that on and then turn it off. So, which is fine for me. I am perfectly okay with that. So what my plan is today is to fix some issues. So I have 3 temperature and humidity sensors in here. They're called the DHT22s. They're a little inexpensive, like $10 module humidity and temperature sensors. And the problem is because like I just have them in here temporarily, and I'm basically buttoning this up and integrating it all into the back of the unit. So my plan was, and we'll see how this goes. This is all just kind of doing it as I'm working on it. I thought I brought a power strip in here, a little compact one that I was going to put in the rear of the unit. So the question is, where did I put it? Where did I put the power strip? So I am going to unplug this while I'm working on it. So this has the rear panel removed right now. I got to see what I did with the power strip. I'm assuming it fell down. It's probably on the floor somewhere. So this is the panel. This goes over this. But you can see I've got a ton of room in here. So luckily on this is what's called a Peltier unit. And behind this shroud here is a heatsink that's mounted to a TEC, a thermoelectric cooler. And what that is it's a flat thing that has two wires coming out of it. One side gets hot, one side gets cold. This is the hot side, the inside's cold. So this is a cooling only unit. This is actually the same board that's used in like wine coolers, that kind of stuff. I believe the term for this unit is called a Humidor, because it's basically a repurposed wine cooler for cigar humidification and temperature control. So my plan was to pull this wire back up in here, coil up the excess, and put a power strip in here so I can have my power adapter for the lights in here. Although looking at this, that may not work. I'd have to we might be able to make work. If I have some little short extension cords, I might be able to make this work. We're going to get creative tonight. This is a very much DIY thing. This is not something that is like by a template or a plan or project plan online. This is me just flying by the seat of my pants. So the first thing I need to do is I need to empty out the humidor, and I'm going to disconnect the power. So I'm going to have to put all the trays over there. So let me just do that right now. Let me take my humidity beads out. I take all these out here. And I'm going to set them, I'm going to stack them up over here. All right. I have a bit of a collection. It's a problem. Don't tell the wife. Shh. All right. So now with all these sticks out, I don't want to set it on top of these because they'll get crushed. All right, we're just going to set these on top here. I also have to go through and organize everything. So this is kind of a double whammy because I have to organize everything. There goes my printed parts. So I have the printed parts we're using in this these are some DHT22 cases. They're just generic cases, and each of these sensors are going to go in these cases. And then I also have one for the ESP module that's got some extra room in it. The module goes up top here, and then I've got a side input for the cable. These are all found on Thingiverse. So the first thing you can see here, I've got the three sensors here. The problem number one we need to solve is because these are so close to these LEDs, when the LEDs are on, it actually affects the temperature readings. So when I remount these, I want to put them in the center as much as I can. So I'll probably put one up here, one here, and then one all the way at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out of here. Along with my ESP board. And I'm actually going to, unless I can somehow, I'm going to pull this out and see if I can do it without drilling. But it really shouldn't be that big of a deal because honestly, inside of these units it's just insulation and plastic. So as long as I go through from the back, I shouldn't hit anything. All the wiring is up in the top portion here, and it comes down here. So, but I'm going to put the ESP device in the back of the unit so that way it's not inside the humidor itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these clips off that I put on here temporarily. The That MAW 10 isn't working. I'll have to ping them. I'm in their partner Discord. That's weird. Speaking of which, I should have refilled my MAW because I am empty. So it's a little different. I mean, this to let you guys know, like this kind of stuff, like projects and housings. This is why I got into 3D printing in the first place. Was because doing making enclosures for these kind of projects was very interesting to me. So, and I don't need to actually know where these go because I have my configuration file. So this is just a little ESP board here and 3 of these DHTs. You can see I've got 2 from one vendor, 1 from the other. They're all the same sensor. And then I am going to probably have to recalibrate these. I'm just getting the sticky double-sided tape off that was on here holding these. So this is a very temporary solution. So I'm going to kill a couple birds with one stone here. So the first one being, I'm not going to have any of these power cords running out of the front here. I want to put everything out the back. So I'm actually going to put all the power lines for even the lights out the back of the unit. I am going to leave this little sensor here just because there's really no other place for me to put it, and it's out of the way for the most part. And you see I have little cable clips on here to organize things as best I can. So, and this is just a little reed switch. This is nothing fancy. It just breaks the connection on the negative for the LED strip so it can shut the front lights off when you open the door, because they're very bright. I don't know if you guys, I am really liking that MAW mix, like the energy drink stuff. I haven't bought energy drinks in over a month now because I've just been using the powder mix that they have. And if you're on their email list, they sent out a thing for their new melon flavor, and I pre-ordered that shit because I like some melon flavor. All right, so let's do the simplest thing, which is going to be, I'm going to go get my drill, and we are, now obviously I want the humidity to be regulated. So what I want to do is actually, I'm going to fill up the holes with hot glue. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. I'm going to fill the holes up that I drill with hot glue. Obviously saying goodbye to my warranty on the unit. But, I can't have anything stock, That's already looking so much better not having that bundle of wires there. So I should be able to just get a little hole in the corner here to get the lights out. And maybe I'll just feed all the sensors. Maybe I'll have all the sensors come down here, all their wires come down 1, 2, 3. Also, I think I have more of these little clips in the light kit that these lights came in, because these are just 12-volt light strips. So I'm going to do this. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get those. Boxes, my Milwaukee drill, and a drill bit. And then I'm also going to refill my drink here. So let's see. I don't know if I have any videos to have you guys watch while I'm gone, but can I do this? What is this? StreamYard overlay. Hang on. What is this? If I do this, be right back. Let me see. I'm gonna pull myself out. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I got my drill with a fresh battery. Got an assortment of drill bits because I have no idea what size I'm going to need. So the first thing I want to do is let's see how these sensors I have fit into these housings. So it looks like if I take that bolt out, it should be okay. Now I actually have some old cable. I cut off a dead USB cable that I'm going to use for the signal wire, so it's actually shielded. And these should fit in here. There's like a little nut at the top here that you got to take off. And let's see how that fits. I think these housings were designed for the other brand of ones I have, but actually that put a little super glue on there. There we go. So there's one of the sensors. So I can put one up here, have them going sideways, have another one here, and then another one at the bottom here, maybe have it sitting upside down because there is this like crevice. Now, before I drill through this, I want to see if there's a way for me to pass wires through here to the outside, because if I can get away with not having a drill, that's fine. I'm not opposed to drilling, but if I can get away without having to drill, that would be great. So let's see. Okay, so we have a fan and a temp sensor. This looks pretty well sealed. You know what? Maybe what I could do is come through the side instead of drilling through this. I'm pretty sure this protrudes out the back. Maybe not. No, it does not. So it looks like my best bet is going to be drilling through right around here. So we're going to go ahead and put that back in. Made in China. Tungsten. Was there like a cable retention? No, it was just shoved in there. Okay. Make sure those wires aren't hitting anything. Now we're good. So we're going to have to drill. I'm not opposed to it. This will all be nice and clean and all one unit, and then I don't have wires hanging out. All right, let's go ahead and put the little rubber boots back in. So that's a not happening thing. Oh, it's a stream. I dropped something. All right, so if I come out the bottom here, that puts all the electronics and all the wiring outside of. Get all these extra wires out of here. Fog it. All right, so I would like to have everything. So this is the bolt. These are the bolts for the bottom of the thing. So I'd like to have everything above that. So the question is, do I just drill through here, probably come in a little bit, and then have all my cables go up on this side. And then I can have the ESP and stuff up here, because I've got a little ESP module will for sure fit up here. Like, that's not an issue. So I'm thinking I'm going to drill through here, because there's all these cables go up and they're right here. So there shouldn't be any electrics down here. If they are, then I'll be fixing things. But I'm pretty confident that they're not. So where's my drill? All right. Let's just do a little pilot hole here and see where we come through on the other side. So how thick is the inside? Let's see how thick that insulation is on the inside. So 42 millimeters from the edge. Supposed to be right about there. I want to go a little further in so I don't hit the light. So if I go like right here, we should be good. So let's see. Just missed the light. All right. I'm going to move that light. And I'm definitely going to widen this because I got to fit a lot of cables through here. So I think I'm going to go big because I can just fill the gap with glue. Let me go ahead and mute the mic so you guys aren't getting killed. All right, so we're all the way through. I'm just cleaning this up. No wires showing or anything, so didn't hit anything. So there we go. We got a hole for our wires to go through. I am going to clean this up a little bit because this is a little rough. This is pretty thin metal here. So it's plastic on the inside. So I'm going to mute my mic again and file this down real quick. All right, that's nice and smooth now. So this is where I'm going to run everything out of. So let's flip this around and show you how it looks on the inside. The pilot hole, I intentionally went a little bit over so I didn't hit the sides. So there is a little bit of, you can see like the hole here where I went through with the pilot one, but I'm not overly concerned with it being absolutely perfect. So let me vacuum this out real quick. All right. So now this wire, yeah, that's still not going to fit through there, but I can bring this down, put that strip back. You see how close I was there with the strip, but I'll just put the splitter through there for these lights, which is this right here. Actually, I'm going to come through with, oh, I should be able to pull the whole thing through. All right, there's one cable. There's the other. And so now, instead of having these cables like poking out the door between the gasket, they're just right here. I'm probably just going to loop this down right there. But we'll do cable management next. But that hole is now going to be long enough for me to route my sensor. So remember, we're putting the ESP device or board outside of the actual humidor. So what I need to do is make up a bunch of cables to go from the sensors to this little port here to feed it out. So that's going to be more than enough room for us to do that. I just got to figure out all the lengths. So if I'm putting the sensor up top, like if the ESP, so this cable is going to have to go up and then down, I have to essentially double the length. So if I know I got to go down and then back up, I'm going to go a little bit longer than I need here. So, and this will be for the first sensor. So there we go. For the second sensor, I need to go from there, basically the top of the unit on the back side, and then come up over here, so right about there. And then the other one, we're just going to leave. So I'm going to put 3-pin connectors on these on each end. And then at the ESP side, I'm actually just going to directly solder it to the pins. And I'm going to make some little 3-pin cables here. And I believe both of my variants of these sensors have the same pinouts. Let's see if they do. That would make things easy. So on the one, I've got VCC, ground, and signal. Well, no, the other one is VCC, signal, ground. So of course they got to be different. They can't be the same. That would make things too easy. So I am going to mix myself up some stuff because I just filled this up. Yeah, I saw the camera was focusing on the handle. If you guys do want to jump in on this stream, I can send the StreamYard link. If you send me a message on Discord, I'm going to pull up Discord. No one's messaged me so far. My username on our TH3D server is House of Bugs. And I've got a Tron Forever 89 avatar. So if you look for me, you can try to send me a PM and I can add you to the stream. So what we're going to do now is we're going to solder up some cables for these sensors, and we're going to put connectors on them. And I think what I'm going to opt for is just using some DuPonts, because even though these, the one sensor I have here has a 3-pin plug. These are both the same type of sensor, just different vendors. These will still, so I take these off, these will still go into the 3-pin plugs just fine. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that way, if I have to replace a sensor down the road, it's not painful to do. So I think that will be the plan of attack here, is to make the cables, and then we will get them all soldered up. And I have, well, look at this. I'm missing one. One came off when we were disassembling things. I'm missing a red one. My apologies for the loud noises. It's been a long day. This is what I do for some reason to relax. I work on projects. So Patricio says, I have an idea. I need to count the operating time of a machine. Was thinking about doing with Arduino Nano. I think you can do that, but I would go with an ESP because they definitely have sketches that you can write, because the ESPs are supported in the Arduino IDE. I'm using them with ESP Home through Home Assistant. So that's how I'm getting the data back to my my system here. But I would probably say go with an ESP so you have Wi-Fi connection. If you're just looking for straight data logging, though, I believe an Arduino Nano will be fine. You can write to the EEPROM then with whatever you're making. Well, here's the other cable. So let's solder up some cables, and I'm going to switch over just so you guys aren't like, oh, I can't hear you. I'm going to go ahead and switch over. The audio will be a little bit crappier than normal. Let's see. Can you guys still hear me? Check, check. Can you guys hear me? Now I'm using this microphone that's on my my headset. All right. So it is soldering time, and my bench is a mess. But that's okay. When is it not a mess? Do I ever open the garage door? Not this one. This one's actually physically locked. So let me get this on. I got my wire strippers here already. I got the cables I'm going to hack up to make these. My heat shrink box is somewhere. And I think I lost the red cable again. I just had it. Now it's gone. My soldering iron's on. My heat station's on. All right, let's switch. Switch the camera to no memory card. There we go. All right. Where did that cable go? I just had the damn thing, and now it's AWOL again. I was going to use the female side of it to make the adapter. So at one end of these, I'm going to have the 3 pins, and then the other end, it's going to go directly soldered to the ESP board. This is driving me nuts. Where did I put that wire? I guess I can grab another one. Here's another red one. All right. So let's prepare our ends. So I need a bunch of these ends. I don't want these too long because I'm basically using these so I don't have to use, don't have to crimp on DuPont ends. So I'm just using these. I do this quite frequently. I'll cut up these little jumpers and use them in projects like this because it's just easier to use these pre-crimped than to try and crimp them yourself. That's just my opinion. They're cheap enough, and we've got a bunch of them because we use these in our Uno kits, and occasionally we'll have like a batch where like one connector is bad, like one of the ends is bad, so we scrap the whole pack. Well, not scrap it, I take it, because like we couldn't send out then a full set of like 10 jumpers for one of the Uno kits. So, all right, so I've got 3 of each. I got 3 red, 3 yellow, and 3 black. The black is going to be our ground, the red is going to be our positive or VCC, and the yellow is going to be the signal. So let me, I don't know why this is, oh, there we go. Hang on, transform, rotate 180. There we go. So it's like actually the direction I want to look at. All right. So like I said, I'm all about reusing old things. So this is actually a section of USB cable that I cut off of a really long camera, like a USB camera, and shortened it because the cable was too long. But I saved the wire, and this is great because this is shielded and will cut down interference. So I'm just going to go ahead and strip these so I can get to the wires. And then I will have a red, black, a green, and a white inside each of these. So what's chat doing? Let me pull up chat because I don't know if it's actually showing here. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay still. I know this microphone is not as good as my normal one. I could try my, let me try my wireless set and see, because this one's actually pretty good. Let me try my wireless mic pack here, because I don't think anybody's going to join in on StreamYard. So let me switch over to this. Hang on. StreamYard, cam and mic, audio. Okay, can you guys hear me better? Is this any better? This one is wireless, but oh, it's not as good as the Yeti, but let me know. Let me know if it cuts out too. So how's that? Is that any better? When is the next printer unboxing? I'm not sure. I got the Sunlu S8 that I want to do. So I think that'll be the next one. All right. So if you guys have ever disassembled a USB cable, let me know how this mic is. This mic should be decent. Way better? Okay. Now, I could use the... I think I might just tie the ground to the shielding. And I'll probably do that. I'll probably do that at the other end on the board side. So I'm just going to trim this back, get rid of this shielding here, because I don't want to create a ground loop. Now we got 4 wires in here. And what I want to do is hopefully not, let's see if my strippers are going to just, no, there we go. So I'm going to use the red, black, and the white, and the green we're just not going to use. The green's not going to get used. Are you getting frame freeze? No, there shouldn't be frame freeze at all. It looks good on my end. So there we go. So let's go ahead and strip these as well. And I've got to do this 3 times, 1 for each sensor. I'm going to heat shrink it, make it look all pretty, and it'll almost look professional. It'll almost look like it wasn't for the 3D printed parts that this system came with it. And that's kind of the goal here, is to make it look real nice, tie it all up. I got some my heat shrink in here. Let's see, do I have yellow? I've got yellow. I need probably 2 of these. Yellow, red. How much black do I have? I got to order another assortment. I love heat shrink assortments. They're so versatile. Until you just forget that you've been using it, and then you've got like none left. But I think we'll have enough here to get through this project. So let's go ahead, and I usually will use like half of a shrink here. I'm not going to use a full one. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on the wire. And yellow is going to go to white, which is going to be our data line from the DHT sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and twist that in. Anytime before you solder something, you want to make sure you have a decent mechanical bond. So you see how the wires, it's just staying there, even though it's not soldered, it's just twisted. That's what you like to see. And then we're just going to go ahead and solder this real quick. And I'm going to blow on it because I don't want the heat traveling up this wire and then shrinking the heat shrink. Now it's cooled down already. So there we go. This will get shrunk up. That'll look really nice. And now we just repeat for the rest of the cable. So I've got a little piece of black heat shrink here. We'll put that on. And these DHT sensors are great, and these ESPs are great. Like, you can use them with your printers. If you want to have like a web interface to monitor like your enclosure temperature, if you have an enclosure, you know, you can use these devices for anything and these sensors. And what drove me to do this was there were a couple of cigar products that monitor humidity, like the Cigar Oasis, and I think they were like $120, $130. And one of my buddies was like, "Oh yeah, it's great, get it." And I'm looking at it and thinking, like, for like $50 in hardware and a little bit of time, I can make my own system that doesn't require a monthly subscription and ties into my existing home automation stuff. And that's why I ended up doing it this way, is because I have full control over this. If you guys saw, we were talking about earlier, you know, one thing I don't like about buying off the shelf systems, especially as someone who is a maker and a tinkerer and someone that likes using open source software on my devices, is I have a lot of TP-Link outlets, and they started pushing a firmware update. It looks like it was mostly in the UK so far, that broke local communication that Home Assistant and plugins like Octoprint used to control the outlets locally. And that's the whole reason I bought the outlets, is because they did work with this open source product. And except now they've intentionally put a firmware update out to sabotage it. So you have to use their crappy app. So I actually put firewall rules in place to block access to the internet from those outlets, because I control them with Home Assistant and mine didn't get the firmware that screws things up. But, you know, don't intentionally sabotage things for people that bought the product. Otherwise, they're just not going to buy it. But luckily, in about a month here, we'll have our own outlets that will not only work with Octoprint, but for those of you guys that do home automation or want to get into it, they will natively work with Home Assistant with Tasmota firmware that's on them and the Octoprint plugins. Now, they will not have a cloud app, so there is that drawback, but it's a local control. It's not talking back to any servers that we have. It's just on your Wi-Fi network, and that's it. So home or Octoprint can talk to it, and you can have it do different things for you, and you don't have to worry about it getting remotely bricked or whatnot, because, you know, the company that makes it decides, oh well, we're just gonna stop supporting that, and oh well, even though you own that device, you don't really own it. We're just gonna sabotage that. I don't know if this will fit on. No, that's too small. I thought I had some larger heat shrink in here. I'm gonna be very disappointed if I don't have heat shrink that fits these cables. Oh, that blue is going to be a tight fit. Oh, I have 3 of them. I need to order another assortment because I'm almost through this one. Let's see if I can get these. I should have. You know what? I can slide these on the other end. I'm sitting here screwing with it. Is this solid core wire? No, it's not. It's not solid core wire. This is stranded. This is such a tight fit. I'm gonna have to put these through probably one at a time. Let's see. Will that work? Next one, I will put the heat shrink for the main cable on first, so I don't have to deal with this again. Oh, it's gonna be tight. I might have to pull the connectors off. I might have. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Now are we gonna fit over this end? Are we? Are we? We might. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Okay. So there we go. All right. Let me do this. I'm gonna just turn it off of StreamYard and stream directly to YouTube. So let me shrink this, and then we'll do that because apparently I have no friends, and I'm sitting here playing with electronics. All this COVID stuff sucks because I've got so many damn cigars here because I had friends that would come over and we'd have a cigar together, and can't do that right now. On the bright side, at least they get better with age. But there we go. There's our first cable. I just got to do this 2 more times. Looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Not bad for a DIY project. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I have auto stop off. I do. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to kill StreamYard. Let's see. Are we good now? Are we back? I need to know. I need to know, chat. Chat, you are my eyes and ears. I count on you to let me know if things are working or not. Are we back? All right, let's get to it. So if you guys are wondering what this has to do with 3D printing, because you're probably like, what does this have to do with 3D printing? I will tell you. Well, if I can find, where's the lids? Anyways, we're using printed housings for the sensors, so I'm just making up the cables right now for said sensors. We should also be in glorious 60 frames a second now. All right, so this is one of the cables. I need to make 2 more of these. Exactly the same. So remember, this side, we're not doing anything with the ground shield. We're going to tie it to the ground on the ESP side. And this is just some old USB cable. This is why, like I said, this particular cable was from a very long USB cable that I shortened for a really crappy webcam because I couldn't get any other webcams and we didn't have ours. So anyways, but they had like a stupid long cable. And I said, screw it. I know I'm probably going to, like, I spliced together the shielding and everything. It's a 640 by 480 camera, or web camera. So I wasn't really concerned. Didn't break it. But anyways, it had a ton of wire. And I was like, I'm going to save this because this is actually decent wire. And, you know, there's a fine line between saving stuff because you'll actually use it and being a hoarder. And I dance that line quite frequently. But I always feel justified when I have a project or repair or something that uses scrap material that I hung on to. And I'm like, ha! If I didn't save it, we would not be in a very good position right now. All right, so let's get the heat shrink on. Now remember, we're not using the green wire in the USB cable. We're just using the white. And the white goes to the yellow on our jumpers here. And I'm going to see if I can get this on before... Can I get this on before I... Can I push it down enough? Okay, I can. All right. So there we go. We got the heat shrink on for the main final assembly. All right, and now we just need to do the same thing. So I'm just going to twist these so we get a nice mechanical bond. And like I said, the reason I'm specifically using the USB cable is because it does have that shield. It's usually a nicer quality cable. If you're doing shorter runs with these type of sensors, you can get away with just like your bog standard, you know, DuPont jumper wires. But on the one sensor where I had the connectors longer on the DuPonts, it would occasionally drop out on me. So you do got to be careful. Sometimes the sensors are very picky with interference. So if you are getting something dropping out, you want to make sure you check that your wiring is in good shape and it's good quality. So that's why I'm using the higher quality wire here, and I already had it. Otherwise, I would have bought some shielded 3-conductor cable or 4-conductor cable. But I like to be thrifty here. I believe that's one of the I'm double checking because it's right here. Yeah, that's part of the Scout Law, thrifty. Is it? Yeah, it should be. I'm like doubting myself. Yeah, thrifty. Obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Oh, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. That's probably where I got the thrifty portion was from my scouting career when I was younger. Oh, did you guys see what I did here? You guys see what I did? I forgot to put the heat shrink on the red wire. You know what? We're going to put it on the other one so we don't forget next time. I'm going to desolder that. It always will get you. It always will get you. No, do not reuse toilet paper. That's gross. I don't even know why you would say that. Makes me question what is going through your mind if you had to say, don't reuse toilet paper. Or you have some really weird friends or relatives. All right. I have to put a little bit longer piece of heat shrink on that because the insulation pulled back a little further, but that's not a problem. Come on. I hate trying to twist wires that already were tinned. They just never go back together right. But there we go. Got a little bit hanging off the side there. We're gonna go over. Yeah, there we go. All right. I don't think hoarders save toilet paper. If they do, that is news to me, and that's absolutely disgusting and something I did not need to know. Dear God. But in 2020, nothing surprises me. Nothing at all. All right. So there we go. That's soldered. Let's go ahead and slip that over. And let's go ahead and heat shrink all this. I'm just going to actually do this all in one shot here. Make sure my shrink is where it should be. Yeah, it's the only downside with doing this on there first is trying to make sure. I guess I can check here. So as soon as I see wire, I can pull it back up because I know the heat shrink is going to cover all the wire itself. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and shrink this bundle up. All right, so there we go. There's 2 cables. It's 2 done. 1, 2. Look at that. Look at those nice cables. And these should, let's see. Here's our little DHT22s. If I put this in here, we've got positive. On this one, the middle one labeled out is the signal. So that's yellow. And negative, which is ground. And then this should go in here. Yeah, this is definitely designed for this particular version of the sensors. Because you can see it actually lines up pretty well here. I'm assuming we just put an M3 screw in there. And it'll hold it. Yeah, look at that. So that'll be a nice clean box, and then I'm gonna just put double-sided tape here. So, but we're not at that part yet. So I got one more cable to make. You know, the Ma bottle says not to mix it with alcohol, but I feel like combining their energy drink mix with some vodka or something would probably be a pretty good tasting combination. I don't know if it'd be a good idea, but might be a good tasting combination. Don't get mad at me, Ma. I love your energy drink or mix or whatever you want to call it. Is it okay? In chat, are these like mixes that you just add water to? Are these still considered energy drinks? And if not, what are they classified as? I'm just curious to know what the hive mind's thoughts are. Why don't I just crimp my own connectors on it? Well, we're already 3 cables in, and I don't have any DuPont crimps accessible right now. So this is why we're doing this. So, and I also didn't want to deal with crimping my own connectors. So there's that. Nothing, they don't work. My crazy sleep schedule and the insane amount of hours I work beg to differ there, Richard. Guarana powder. So I don't know if you guys remember, there's my favorite energy drink of all time is one called Balls. And as far as I know, Micro Center is like the only place you can still get it from in store. Except I don't go to Micro Center because they're in freaking Illinois. And I hate going to Illinois since we're in Indiana. It's only an hour away, but I hate going to Illinois. If I can avoid going to Illinois, then I will. I'm going to do these other ones where I push it through the heat shrink afterwards, because that was actually more of a pain to pull that all up than to just push them through after, like I did on the first one. But yeah, Ball's energy drink, if you guys haven't had it, it tastes almost like, I want to say it's almost like a cream soda. If I had to explain it, just like a little more citrusy. But it's really good. And, so like, I don't know. Well, I do know what they put in. I used to be a big G Fuel person. And then Tor's the one, our support guy Tor is the one who told me about MAW. And I jokingly signed up to be an affiliate with them after I got it. And I was like, oh, this stuff's really good. And they approved it. So I was like, oh, well, shit. This is neat. And the thing with the G Fuel is it did help with focus and energy, but it made me very jittery. And I don't know what they're using for the actual caffeine source, but like when I drink guarana, which is what Ball's energy drink used, it was a very like smooth pick me up. I never got jittery from it, and that's what this reminds me of, is like that kind of like smoother caffeine. It could just all be in my head, but just certain energy drinks make me super jittery, and it's more like, it's like, you know, it doesn't help with focus. It just makes you feel more awake and on edge, and trying to find, you know, an energy supplement or drink, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't do that is good for me. So, but could all be in my head, but it is what it is. I like to think I'd like to think that it's probably because I have ADHD that I like caffeine and nicotine. It actually helps with focusing. So I actually used to take ADHD medication, but if some people thought I was a dick now, that stuff put my like tolerance level for stupid shit through the roof and made me like on edge all the time. So I stopped taking it. I tried a couple different ones and just was like, you know what? I will just stick to caffeine and, you know, my nicotine vape. So, because no one likes a grumpy Tim. Tim doesn't like a grumpy Tim. So, all right, this is the last wire here, and then we're getting all the sensors mounted in their enclosures. And then we're going to mount the enclosures inside the humidor. And then we'll run the wire. So my thing is, and I'm looking, I'm going to take suggestions from the peanut gallery. So do I just have like a couple power cords coming out of it for the lights and for the thing, or do I integrate do I integrate like a little power strip in the back to plug everything into? So essentially the humidor itself has one power cord coming off of it. So like in the back, I gotta find it. I swear I brought it in with me. But I had a little 3-outlet power strip that I was going to put in the back, because then the unit itself could be powered off that, and then I've got the USB for this ESP, so I use a USB adapter to power this ESP, and then there's the ESP-powered Wi-Fi outlet that runs the actual 12-volt transformer for the lights. Now, I did think about, well, I could just run it all off this one ESP that's running the temp sensors, but then I'd have to find a way. Then I'm going to have to fashion my own way of controlling the 110 volts, and I would much rather just have it be a plug-in versus trying to roll my own Wi-Fi outlet, essentially. I could do it. It's just I would much rather just have it be a regular plug, so I'm not having to mess with it. It's definitely a little more safe doing it where you're just plugging it in, and all the electronics for that plug are self-contained in the plug itself. So, but integrated and make it all clean. So basically make it like my thing is like almost make it look like it came like this. Like have it all built in so it looks as much as I can. Make it look factory is basically what I was originally planning on doing. Is I would like to have a nice clean installation that if someone looked at it, you know, it'd be like, did this come like this or did you do that to it? That's kind of what I was going for. So, all right, last one. All right, so now we got to get the sensors in these housings. And as we discovered, these housings are designed for this style sensor. I have these from another vendor here that are different style. I don't think I have two more of these style ones. I have some temperature only ones. I don't think I have any of the DHT ones. I have all sorts of goodies in my box here. But those goodies are not DHT22s. I need to just order some more of them because they're great little sensors. You can get like, I think 5 of them for like 30 or 40 bucks. They're freaking awesome. I love them. They're inexpensive. They're pretty damn accurate. I usually calibrate them against my Accurite. You can do, there's like a salt method that you can do to calibrate them as well, where you take basically put salt in a cap, put salt in a cap, and then put that in a bag. You leave it there for like 4 to 8 hours, and then you take the reading. And that salt solution should put you at about 75% humidity. So if your sensor is reading, you know, let's say it's reading 71, when it should be reading 75, then you know you got to adjust the sensor's offset to be 75 then. So, but I calibrated these with an Accurite hydrometer that I have that I know is accurate. Oh God. Come on. Get in there. Get in there. The screw head is rubbing against the plastic. All right, let's see. How's the fitment on that? Oh, that actually snaps together. All right, so I don't even think I'm need to glue the, I don't think I'm going to need to glue this. So there we go. There's one sensor. And these are just a little 3D printed housing. I did these at a higher speed on my, my Ender 3 Pro here. I did them at like 80 millimeters a second and just uncapped everything. So here's what I'm going to do with these. Since these have these little 3-pin JSTs and we're using the DuPonts. Fun fact, the DuPonts are actually the same pin pitch as the JSTs, but they just aren't as long. But if you remove the shroud, like I'm doing now, you can get a little more depth and they work just fine. I went with the DuPonts instead of the JSTs because if I got to replace a sensor, I want it to be like a universal connection. I can just go in there, replace the sensor, and go about with my day. So there we go. Make sure I hook them up correctly. So there we go. VCC, ground, and D out is the signal. So I should be able to just... Now here's the thing. This is riding up here because the PCB is hitting, but I think I should just be able, because there's no circuitry on here. It just says down here. I'm going to snip this PCB. There we go. So now it should be the same. There we go. See how nice that fits in there now? Not gonna let some PCB tell me who's the boss. You're gonna fit whether you like it or not. These are fairly simple devices. There's just there's pull-ups on here and a filter cap, and that's about it. There's nothing super special about them. All right, there's the second sensor. And now for the third. So again, we're going to have to go ahead and cut that PCB. There's no traces up near the top, so it doesn't matter that you cut through it. You're not going to damage anything. On these anyways. Can't remember what brand these are. I don't know, Wave Share. But you can see there's no traces. It's all ground plane. Let's go ahead and get that shroud off. There we go. That one came off a lot easier. And we got our D out, which is the signal, which is yellow. Ground, which is black. And VCC. See, I love doing little projects like this that are like my personal thing because I can be janky with things because it's my own little project. It's just a little fun thing. I'm not making a product. I'm not like doing anything that's super serious. This is just a fun project for me. And this is the kind of stuff I enjoy doing. Let's go ahead and get that into the standoff. Come on. Get into the standoff. I have a hard time lining up the hole here. Oh, you know why? Because these are hitting the post. All right. One of our support guys messaged me the other day and was like, "Hey, what T handles do you use?" Because there was someone asking on our website about the T handles I use. These are all printed in PLA. The Humidor is kept at about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is fine for PLA. So I thought about doing them in ABS, but I thought it wasn't needed just because it's not, you're not dealing with high temperatures inside of a humidor. If you are, then there's something wrong with your humidor. Oh, I see what's happening here. This is pushing. I was wondering why these lids are like pushing up. It's because this lip right here is actually riding up on them. So I can reprint it and remove the lip, or I can just take my side cutters and take care of it. And you know what, to be honest, since these are like essentially disposable, I'm not going to like replace, like I'll reuse the cable itself, but I'm not going to reuse, if the sensor dies, I'm not going to reuse the housing, I'll just print a new one. So I'm just going to glue these shut because I'll still be able to pull the sensor or the wires for the sensor out of it, even if I can't open the casing. Do you know what I mean? So I am going to use, I'm actually going to use some 3D gloop and let that air out before I put it in the humidor because I don't want to get gloop messing with my cigar flavors. But I'm just going to use a little bit. I'm just going to put a little dot. I hope this didn't dry up. This is like I used this last week. No, it didn't dry out. Okay. All right. Stuff usually sets up pretty quick. All right, so you can see it's just oozing out there. Don't want to waste it, so go ahead and spread that around. Up a little bit up here. If you guys for PLA, it's amazing. I highly recommend it. And while I like this like packaging they have than the big bottles, as you can see here, the problem is it likes to work its way out of the tube if you slightly press on it too much. So, but it does allow it to seal a lot better, so I don't use it too often. I mostly use it for projects like this. And I think they say you should wear gloves, but I like to live life on the edge. I like this better than super glue, hands down. Especially for PLA. Some super glues just don't bond to PLA. These are now never coming out of here. So when these sensors are bad, the whole assembly is going to get discarded, and I'll reuse the cables. So how does that look? What do you guys think? Is that decent? I'm also going to copy over my live stream sources to my secondary cameras here because they weren't on there before, so I can have chat and stuff up. What do you guys think? How'd these come out? My little DHT22s. I printed these on the EasyFlex 2 textured plate. So, but you can't even tell these are different modules because the actual sensor, which is the AS Air AM2302, is all the same. So, but two are from one manufacturer and one is from the other. How many of you guys have actually used this stuff? Like, how many of you guys have used the these little modules or ESP devices, that kind of stuff? I stole it from DTP. Stole what? The gloop? Alright, let's see how I make this look presentable. So, we do this in steps. So, I think, man, I should have drilled a hole in this thing a long time ago. I do get this stuff. I try to give Amazon business, but Amazon's a good place to get all this stuff. And if you guys don't mind, we do have an Amazon affiliate link in the description here, which I used to buy. Like, these were all bought with like the Amazon affiliate link stuff. So that's why I like doing these videos too, is because like this is like affordable stuff. Like these are like $8 to $10 sensors. This is only like $30, and this is 10. So for $40, I've got 3 humidity and temperature sensors for my humidor. I mean, you can't beat that. And you can use them for anything. You don't have to use them for a humidor. You could use them to literally monitor anything. And there's tons of other modules. The funny thing is, if there were enough input-output pins, the ESPs, and I think they do have it working. I think Marlin supports it. But these ESPs are actually 32-bit processors, and there's a lot of horsepower on this little device. That's all it's doing is reporting temperatures and humidities, or humidity data. But they're very nice. They're affordable, and they're a good bang for the buck. So let's switch over here, and let's get these in here. So I've got these two. Make sure my gloop is dry. And I'm going to clean the surfaces off real quick here. You can see I've got like a little cable clip here for these. I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can get that a little better managed. Just a wee bit. This was a light kit I bought. And for $20... it does the job. And I like that these are like enclosed. But what I want to do is, I know I knocked my alcohol over earlier. So here it is. Do you guys like when I use this wireless mic? Are you guys a fan of it? What is a humidor? Yeah, it's for cigars. So cigars are temperamental little beasts, and they like to be at a consistent temperature and a consistent humidity. If they're too dry, they burn too fast and they don't taste as good. And if they're too hot or too high humidity, they can also get mold or cigar beetles, because the tobacco leaves used in cigars are not treated with pesticides. So because of that, technically every single cigar has the eggs on the leaves, but if you keep it at the right range, they don't hatch. I'm grabbing a towel from my garage. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I don't know the range on this mic. I don't know if you guys could hear me when I went over there or not. I meant to grab just water to wipe this down so the alcohol doesn't ruin the taste. But yeah, so they have to be kept at a consistent humidity and temperature. Everybody's got their own preferences, but the rule of thumb is like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 70% humidity, because I live in the Midwest, and this is only a cooling unit. I usually end up with like 67 to 68, and my humidity is usually in the like 71 to 72% range. So, but yeah. All right, so that's all clean. I don't want, because like they do put additives in alcohol, like rubbing alcohol or isopropyl, and I don't want that getting in the humidor and then ruining the flavor of the cigars, because they can pick that flavor up. I started buying cigars, and I have a couple a week as a little like end of day wind down. But I had no idea how temperamental these things are. So when I think I've got about 200 of them, I discovered this site called Cigar Bid, and you can get a lot of cigars for pretty cheap, and like not just cheap cigars, like good ones. And I would go on there and win bids. So that's why I have a lot in the humidor. But Yeah, so I use my nerd skills to try to mitigate any issues. All right, so I put some adhesive tape on the back of the mount. I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm just going to put these like just offset like this. Maybe not. There we go. Oh, you know what? You know what I should have checked is if the drawer is going to hit that, I might have to move it. So if I have this in here, no, that'll still close the door, but that's going to be right up on it. I might have to put that up a little further, actually, because I want it to clear these wood cases I have. Son of beach. Come on, release clean. Release clean. Oh, it came off the back of the thing. This is that Harbor Freight tape I used in the MOSFET video. This stuff is freaking awesome. I should have bought another roll of it. Just their house brand, and it's good. It's good shit. So if you're at Harbor Freight, pick up some mounting tape. It's like, I think it's like $3. Like, just have it to have on hand. But okay, we're gonna go up a little higher. We're gonna go all the way to the top for this one here, just to keep it out of the way of everything else. And then I'm going to come straight down with the wire here. So even though I got this little ridge, this is more than enough to hold this sensor. It's not, they don't weigh much at all. And I do have extra, I have a lot of extra cable clips from the lights that I bought. So let's go ahead and just put one of these on to do some cable management here. Because nobody likes messy cables, okay? And we're just gonna put that right about here. So it should be out of the way of any drawers or anything. And I'll probably put another one like right here, and then we'll go right into the hole that we drilled. So let's get the other two mounted. And I think these both have the same cord length because they have both about the same way to go. And they're all the same sensor. Jessica Ryan says, this is just an idea. Maybe you could modify one of these to old 3D printing film and keep it at a low humidity level. Absolutely. You could definitely do that. I mean, this is just, like, you can do it with a wine cooler even. I'm just looking. This should be out of the way of any drawers and stuff. You know, maybe I'll put this one. I want to try to keep them away from the lights because the lights mess with the readings. So if I have to move the drawers around, I have to move the drawers around. It's not the end of the world. Just modifying these little clips because they don't have a ton of space inside. So I can get about 2 of these wires in here. But yeah, you could definitely use these for other things. I think this unit was like $200. It wasn't terribly expensive. And obviously, since you can drill through, since it's just like foam on the inside, you could even feed filament out of here. If you put some racks in here, you could feed filament out of here quite easily. There's also those rep boxes. I have one here, and they do have a dehumidification like add-on for it. It's the same kind of thing that you use in gun safes. But I have one of those here. But this is essentially just like an insulated box with a module in the back that gets cold, and it's got a temperature sensor in there. That's about it. Now, since this one I can't, I don't have the room here because of this ridge, I'm going to kind of offset. Actually, I'm going to put this one like this. So this is all the way at the bottom. Just like that. And then I'll go ahead and use one of the cable clips to get the cable all nice and managed. Oh, it's a tight fit. Oh, man. Please tell me this will fit through here with all this. Come on. Oh, beautiful. I was getting worried there. I was like, am I going to have to make another hole? I was getting a little concerned. I was going to have to drill another hole. Okay, so let me just clip these in here so they're out of the way. These are for the lights. And that will wrap up the inside. I don't have anything left to do inside here, so what do you guys think? For something that's completely DIY, how do you think that came out? Be honest with me here. Just gonna wipe down the inside here, get all the foam out. There's foam all over the front. And one thing that's bothering me is this here. This cable for this other light that I'm never going to use, so I should just be able to cut this flush and not have to worry about it. Yeah, those wires are far enough apart. All right. So there we go. We got 3 zones, essentially. We got our bottom, our top, or bottom, our middle, and our top, so I can monitor the humidity throughout, because you're never going to have the same humidity level in the humidor at the same time. It's going to fluctuate. So this will allow me to see if I need to move my, and these are printed too. If I need to move the boxes, these are humidity beads. These are beads that are designed to absorb and release moisture to keep the relative humidity around 70%. So they're a passive device, and they work pretty well. And they're only about $15 for half a pound of them, which is more than enough for this unit. But there we go. I wish I had a black sensor here to shut the front lights off, but you know what? This is a lot better. And there's no cable sticking out of the front, because I used to have the cable running a flat cable right here. But now there's no cable sticking out. I'll put some hot glue on the back to just kind of seal it up, but there's enough wires actually going through there that it'd probably be fine even if I didn't seal it. But I do not like half-assing things. I am, however, going to label the cables on the back so I know which ones are which coming out for like the top sensor, the bottom, and the middle sensor. So if you're in Hawaii, I would probably say a dry box would be worth it for you. That's just my opinion. I'm just some random guy on the internet that you're watching on YouTube, so there's that. I'm just printing off labels right now with my Dymo. And I'm going to wrap these around the cable so when I hook it up to the ESP, I know which one is which. So I know the bottom one is the one that's coming out on top of these. So that's the bottom one. So let me go ahead and put that label on the cable. Put the label on the cable. And then, which one is this? That's the top one. And that just leaves the middle one. I can tell you right now, when you're doing projects, labeling your connections, future you will thank you. Because if I just connected all this and was like, oh, this is the top, this is the bottom, and didn't label it, and then I have to replace a sensor or change a cable or change the module, like if the ESP module fails, future Tim is going to be going, why the hell didn't he label this? They're all the same color, and nothing makes sense. And he'll go back in time and hunt me down. And I don't want that. I don't want to... I mean, no one showed up yet. My past self, or my future self, has not shown up yet here to kick my ass, so I'm going to assume it's because I labeled my cables. So, and if we look, I don't know if you guys can see here, but we have more than enough cable length on all three of these cables. So the question is, one, where did I put that tiny power strip I had? I had like a little chode-sized power strip that was 3 outlets that I intended to put in the rear of this unit. And I don't know what happened to it. And I'm probably going to wrap this up a little bit because literally all I'm going to do is solder the wires to the ESP module and throw it in the case. So it's nothing, nothing super exciting. But I don't know where the hell that went. But as you can see here, now I have, you know, a smart humidor. So I've got my monitoring in here. It actually came out pretty nice. I'm very happy with this. Like, this is nice and clean. Obviously you can tell it's not factory. But I'm perfectly fine with that. I am, you know, function over form. Not form over function, you know. I like things to work versus looking pretty. So this means now I don't have any cables hanging out the front because all my sensor lines are going out the back. I've got USB cables extending them, so it's a nice shielded cable, so I shouldn't get any interference. They're moved away from the lights, so I won't have interference from the lights with the sensors because the heat from the light actually messes with the humidity and the temperature reading, whereas in the middle here, they'll be fine. They'll be far enough away from the lights in the back. And the reason I have lights in the back is when you pull the trays out, where this is at, it's hard to see what's actually in there. And that's why I did it like this, is because it was hard for me to see what cigars I had in here, and having that light coming out from the back of the humidor really helped. So the ESP does have built-in Wi-Fi. Absolutely. The ESP2266 is what I'm using. I also have some ESP32s here. Let's just go over, let's take a peruse. Let's peruse through Amazon, and I'll show you guys all the different modules and stuff, because the potential with these things are they're just amazing. Like, I love it. Like, there's literally, there's going to be 3 ESPs in this one project. There's the one running the humidity sensors. There's one in the Wi-Fi outlet. And there's one in the front panel. Like, if you guys are just tuning in, I actually put one, there's actually an ESP. It's a D1 mini module. It's a smaller one than what I'm using. There's an ESP in the door here that's running off of the 8-volt DC that runs this panel. I have a step-down converter that steps at 8 down to 5, and then it goes into there. And I use it to check if I press this, it'll turn the other lights on over the Wi-Fi. So there's no connection between it because I wasn't able to run the line all the way to the back. So why not just throw it in here and I have my home automation system take care of it. You know, think of it as like a virtual wire. But let's go over some stuff they have, because I love sharing this stuff with you. This is the stuff I really enjoy. Like, I really enjoy like tinkering with these electronic devices, and they're so awesome. They're affordable. So let's just go over this. So if we just search, you can just search literally ESP. Oh, that's gonna the ESP, the weird people. So you have your two key modules. This brand I bought from before, High Let Go. I think I bought from Keys. Don't bother with these. These are super tiny ones. They're pretty limited. But you can get a three pack for $14. This is the same one I'm using in this project. It's $13.99 for three of them. And you can see here we've got all these input outputs. So each one of these sensors I have on their data pin goes to each one of these pins. So I have my top on D0, or sorry, top on D1, middle on D2, and my bottom one on D3. And then I'm actually powering them from the 3.3. So there's multiple 3.3 and ground pins here. So those I'll be soldering those wires. So all the reds will go to 3.3, all the blacks will go to ground, as well as the ground shield on the cables. And then the white line will go to each one. So the top one's white line will go here, the middle, the bottom. These can also run screens. They do have MOSI MISO pins to run. Like they have I think it's one SPI bus on these. That you can drive a screen and other stuff too. There's also sensors that run on the SPI bus too. There's some temperature and humidity sensors that run on the SPI bus. This is what's in the door for the light communication. So I know if the light button is on or not to control my auxiliary lights that I added on. But you can see the size difference between these that have the pins pre-soldered and these. These usually do not come with the pins pre-soldered, but you can see how much smaller this module is. These both have the same horsepower. The difference is this accepts like 7 to 8 volt or 4.5 to 10 volts input on its VIN pin, whereas these only have 5 volt or 3.3. So these actually have an onboard regulator to step down that voltage, because these actually run on 3.3 volts. But it's the same core processor. They're the same thing. This just has a little more onboard than this guy does. So you can see the size difference here. But these both have USB to serial converters on it to program them, and a little USB port. And you can power them over the USB port. So the one that I'm running the humidity sensors off of are being powered over the USB port. So I'm just putting a micro USB cable into here from a little wall wart adapter. And these will even run off of a crappy phone charger. They don't pull much power at all. But where you start getting into the more powerful ones, and these are becoming more popular, I keep using the ESP8266 because they do everything I need, and they're cheap. These are a little more expensive, the ESP32s. You can see 2 or $15, but these are a dual-core processor. They have integrated dual-band Wi-Fi, so the ESP8266 are only 2.4 gigahertz. These are, I believe these are 802.11. Oh no, these are still only 2.4. I was like, wait. So these are still 2.4, but it's faster. And these also have Bluetooth integrated, and they're dual core. So they're a little more expensive, not by much. They're becoming more and more popular. If you're doing something simple like I am, like I've got, I think everything, I've got probably, I'm looking at my panel, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 DIY smart home devices. Only one of them is running an ESP32. Everything's running the 8266s. You can do pretty much everything you're going to want to do with an 8266 until you start getting into more advanced stuff. And you can get, you know, like I said, 3 of these are cheaper than 2 of these. So I recommend starting out with the 8266 until you get to a project that actually needs a 32. They're very powerful. I love these chips, and they're so affordable. But that's just the board. All the board does is just sits there and blinks a light at you. There are ones like this. These are cool. I thought I'll play with these, but I mean, IP cameras are so cheap and they're a finished solution, but these things exist too. This is $19 for 2 of the ESP32s with camera modules. So you can run IP cameras. They got an SD slot. You can roll your own IP camera if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. It's probably not super reliable compared to actually a regular IP camera, but it's fun to play with. But in terms of like temperature sensors, the DHT22 is very popular. You saw I had one of these. You want to make sure, and there are knockoffs of these, just like everything China fucking does. You want to make sure when you get them that they say AO Song or AS Air AM2302 with a serial number. If this is blank on the front and it doesn't say this, send them back. They're knockoffs and the accuracy's terrible. You can also see here, you can buy just the sensor itself, but you're going to require pull-up resistors. The benefits of getting these boards is that they have the pull-up resistors on them and the header. So I highly recommend getting the ones on the boards. You can see here, these are knockoffs. Don't buy these. Look how terrible these look. Look how just garbage these look. Though the sensor module itself is just, it looks like ass. Look at the injection molding. But these are knockoffs. I would stay away from them. They should say AS Air or AO Song for the brand, as you see on here, and AM2302 is the actual sensor. So that's what you want to see. The other ones, like that looks like a knockoff. You got to be careful. So the other ones, Adafruit does have their own brand of the sensors, but they're usually $5-6 more a sensor. This looks like this is a Wemos D1 with, oh, this is a shield, so this plugs onto the D1 Mini. You'll see stuff like this where it's a shield, where it just stacks, like right here too. This is also an ESP8266, but this is a smaller form factor with a more compact package. Oh, there we go. We're going to need that. It's been a long day. It feels like a Monday, but it's Sunday, which means tomorrow's Monday. So it's only going to get worse. But you can also find these too. I love these packs when I was starting off. I love these packs where you can get like a couple of sensors. Let's see. I'm sure they got packs. Yeah, they have packs. I mean, like, just go buy a couple of packs. If you don't know what you want to do, go buy a couple of packs. I mean, like here, this right here, you guys got 3D printers. I'm assuming if you watch one, you're watching, you probably have a 3D printer. With a 3D printer and these 3 parts and these cables and some soldering, you can see here, this is an example. They're using a breadboard, and it comes with a breadboard. You can put this all in a case and have a time, have like what they're showing here, a clock with the temperature reading and and I think this is a DHT11, which is the lower end version of the 22. It's not as accurate, but it's accurate enough for like a room sensor. Yeah, it does temperature and humidity. But this would be just something fun. It's like $20. Okay, this is what I love about Amazon. No instruction came with the item. It's a parts kit. You're literally buying this, and you're expected to do the research on how to use it. I love the 2 reviews on here are people complaining. I feel like this guy's just trying to scam Amazon. Who knows? But anyways, there's no instructions that are going to come with this. This is just parts. You're not expected. You're expected to hunt online to find the stuff for this. But anyways, this is an Arduino kit. I do still like the Unos, but I like the ESPs better for IoT projects because they do have the Wi-Fi on board. But a lot of these modules, like even this driver, like a lot of this stuff that comes in like these Arduino kits will typically work with the ESPs as well. So, I don't know how many people we have watching still. Let's see. It says we have 24. Forgot to put that on there. There we go. But this is kind of cool. This has got like RGB ring light. The LEDs that are on my printer shelf here are run off of an ESP8266. So if you're bored, go hunt around on Amazon. Starter kits are awesome. You could also just buy, you know, the modules themselves. This is pretty cool. This is one that's got a buzzer and RGB LED, and it pulls power off of the USB port. That's kind of cute. I like that. They come in all shapes and sizes. Like you can see here, like this is an ESP with a screen attached to it on the same PCB. I wouldn't recommend these unless you have a specific need for this type of thing, because this is going to be more like proprietary. I like dealing with the actual boards, like the Node MCUs are very common. The Wemos D1 Mini is one that I have. That's these guys here. These are the Wemos D1 Minis. I really like these. These are great for if you're a little bit more tight on space, but the drawback is it doesn't have an onboard voltage regulator to regulate down from whatever to, you know, 3.3 or 5 volts. So usually you'll want to run a separate voltage regulator, or if you have a power supply already. But these come in all shapes and sizes for the ESP8266s. The D1 Mini is the most popular one, along with the Node MCU 8266. Like those are your two go-to modules for the 8266s. I prefer the Node MCU because it has a wider input, wider voltage range for the power input, but they are a little bit larger. You can see there the AMS 111.7. That's the voltage regulator. But I love these. If you're looking for a project to do that'll cost you like 20-30 bucks to play with, they're awesome. Like build yourself a little room sensor. You can have a web interface like this one here. Here's a nice little, this is 16 bucks. This BMP820, this is a temperature and humidity sensor. This is actually a little bit nicer sensor than what I'm using. The reason I'm not using them though is they are a I2C or I2C. You can see here this has 4 wires. You see you got your voltage, your ground, but then you got your SCL and the SDA. These are your data lines. And you could put up to 2 of these on one I2C bus on this particular chip. But you have to set jumpers. So, but I could talk about that for a while. There's a bunch of little stuff, but the DHT22s are easy to use. They're fairly accurate. But there's also, like, look at this. This is awesome. It's a little wrist one. I want this. I want this. I could have an ESP on my wrist. That's so cool. But anyways, if you guys are looking for something fun that's really affordable to play with, these are awesome. And then you're going to start playing with them, and things are going to start clicking in your head when you like start seeing things around your house. You're like, oh, I could automate that, you know, or like what I have on the door, like a little a magnetic reed switch. You can get a bag of 10 of them for like $12, and you put that across the ground pin on the ESP and the signal pin, and you can use that as a door or a window sensor. I have a bunch of those here. I've actually got a lot of ESP devices running here. Anything that runs Tasmota or ESPs. The Wi-Fi outlets, the easy plugs we're using are running ESPs inside. So they're very powerful. They're very affordable. They're very capable. And hopefully watching and hanging out inspired you guys to go check out your own thing, make a project. This is why I got 3D printers, was I wanted to be able to, you know, print enclosures. So like this little guy here, if I grab the right one. Oh, this is a lovely part of when you do prints. There's 2 different sizes of these Node MCU boards. And this case is for the smaller one or the larger one, which is not a problem. But as you can see here, I literally have 3 of the smaller ones. I was gonna say I thought I had a larger one. Here's a larger version of this. This is the Lowlin Node MCU. And that's what this, whoever designed this case, that's what this is for. So I'll just use this. Yeah, you can see there how that fits in there. So I'll use this instead of reprinting the case because I do like this case. But these are functionally the same thing as the smaller ones. So, but that's one of the things when you're on Thingiverse, I did not realize, and it didn't occur to me until just now, that, oh, that's for the smaller, or that's for the larger version, not the smaller one. So, but not a big deal. I have both on hand. I also have a couple ESP22s on hand as well. So I hope you guys learned something. I really hope you guys go and check out something that I showed off here. If you guys are going to buy on Amazon, we do have an affiliate link in the description, which will let me pick up more random things like this and do more random streams. So certain things I can't expense in the business, but I can use the affiliate credit from Amazon to buy more parts to do more videos. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to get the module mounted to the back, and I'm just going to solder up the stuff. It's pretty boring. But I'm going to run the cables into here, solder onto the pins, and then flash this with the firmware. So, and the firmware is a whole other different thing with these. I have Home Assistant for my home automation platform, and there's a plugin called ESP Home. And that's what I use because it integrates everything nicely. It's pretty easy to use once you get the hang of all the syntax and everything. But you can also use Arduino IDE or VS Code to write your own firmware for these. There's tons of example code out there for these ESP devices. And that's one thing I like too. There's a big community around them. There's a lot of people that use them. There's a lot of guides out there. So chances are if you're doing something, someone's already written the code for it, or they've written something close enough that you can then take it and modify it for your own needs. So highly recommend you guys check it out. And I'm going to wrap this up, and it's already 11:22, so hopefully I can get to bed before midnight because we've got a lot of orders back tomorrow. So appreciate you guys watching, and as always, happy printing.